Hi, Joe Cerrone. Welcome to our weekly Zoom meeting for CAD-230 Introduction to Solidworks. Okay, a lot of things going on now. We're back in the mainstream of getting our work done. If we take a look at what's being released this week, I've released Assembly Modeling Module 9. This module has been on, and like a lot of the modules, I just paste them. And so you're welcome to work ahead on these things, but I try to, work off of these at the pace that we can get them done. So the instructions for module 9 are to take a pretest for assembly modeling. And this test will not be scored for a grade. We'll use it to assess learning objectives. And I have to give this test this test and a post test. And so essentially they want to know if anybody's learning anything, and it's not good enough for me to say, oh yeah, they come to class, so they must be learning. They want me to have some data that shows something like a score. And so when you take this pretest, just take it. You don't need to study for it. In fact, I prefer you don't, because that way it's just, did I know anything about assembly modeling in SolidWorks before I took this? And chances are you probably haven't done too much, but some people may have it. And then I use that data. And so if there's 10 questions and you got a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10 or a 3 out of 10, that's great. And then we'll go through and we'll do the module on assembly, and we'll do the 3D printing work. And then we'll take a post test, and then we'll see if there's any difference in the scores. That's basically what they want me to do for assessment. So please, please, please take the pretest, and then that'll be in the quizzes and exams. And it's located under pretest assembly modeling. Here it is, assembly modeling pretest. And if you click on it, there are questions, true, false, multiple choice, and I think there might be written response, 2 written response answers. Okay, so I'll need you to take that test so that I can do my assessment reports for my bosses. Second, I've added some videos for the 3D printing, the vice jaw and the jack screw. And so I'll continue to crank these out as quickly as I can for that. And module 9 has been released, and I noticed that I needed to make some videos for that today. So I made lab 9A video and 9B video. 9A has this yellow component right here, and I went and I checked the book, and it didn't have us do that component. And so I'm giving you that part right here. So you can download this T-joint for the assembly model. And so if you click here, and then you open it. It doesn't seem to want to cooperate, but I know it's there. So this yellow part is here. If there is a problem, please send me an instant message. Let me know, and I'll fix those errors. There's always something. I'm basically running the whole show from technical support to everything else here. As we look at these assembly models, they're actually kind of fun. It's like virtual Lego, in my opinion, where you can put these different components together. They kind of move all over the place at first because we don't really understand how to constrain these different components. And essentially what we're looking at when we work with mates is we're taking away different degrees of freedom. And so you can kind of see the help screen there, how they show how to mate that fan to the surface of that, I guess it would be like the base for it. And so as we go through, at this point, I'm just following the book. There's quite a bit of content out there for assembly modeling. And that's what makes SolidWorks really good, is that you can virtually simulate all these different components, whether it's the links assembly or if it's our vise or that gate, and then you can actually go through and move it. It does kind of, get a little bit wonky as you start to work with it. This green piece here is the parent of the model, and they go with these parent-child relationships. And so the first part that we put on is considered the parent, and you want to orientate that in a way that's going to be conducive to the model. And so the first part that we put in, we'll have this little F here, meaning that the part is fixed or it's kind of anchored. And then we go through and we add all these other components. I've made videos for these. And so if you go into the lab number module 9 under contents, here's 9. I put together 2 videos. Here's 9A and 9B. And if you click on those, it'll go to my YouTube page. And make sure you give me a thumbs up. I guess I'm getting more into social media, social media.
Modeling. Hi, Joe Cerrone, CAD-230, Introduction to Solidworks. Today we're going to look at assembly modeling, and we're going to.
So I go through and I go through this assembly model for you. I have AT&T, so my internet connection sometimes gets unstable. It's a fiber connection, usually works pretty well. But be that as it may, I went through and created the parts for you and created the video for 9A and 9B. I have not had a chance to get to 9C yet. We try to do videos for everything, but it's not always guaranteed. Sometimes I have to get these reports in order books and schedule classes, you name it. They've got me. Whenever I write an email, they ask me to write some kind of a report. So that's kind of how it goes. All right, so here's the other videos that I added on the vise. This is actually a pretty fun project. I've been doing these 3D models of the parts here, and so I do have the vise created here. I've got a large one, and then I've got a smaller version that I'm working on. I haven't quite decided. I'm using these inserts, these brass inserts on the smaller models. And they work really well for 3D printing and for fastening things together. So I haven't quite decided which one we're gonna go with. But one of the nice things about where we're at is that we learned how to do threads like this. And so when I modeled this jack screw here, I went through and I added threads to it. So we basically create the profile of the part. And then I go through and I use the thread wizard on it to go through and model those components. So you're welcome to improve the design, by adding these threads. And it is really pretty cool because you can 3D print threads and then assemble things. Are they as good as metal threads? It depends on the materials that you make. PLA is pretty soft, polylactic acid. And I've got a pretty good background in 3D printing. We've been doing it for quite a while, but now it's to the point now where it's pretty mainstream. If you're working for a company that does prototyping or manufacturing, you're probably going to have a 3D printer in there somewhere. So I've also done the vise, jaw, and I did the base. And so here's our vise jaw. And I showed how to model this part. And I try to incorporate a few tips and tricks along the way to be able to improve your design skills. So those are the new videos that have been released. And then I also went through and I check the calendar and the schedule. We're going to get pretty busy for this last month. So try to stay on top of your work. Right now we're set to do, let's go actually to the assignments. So I went through and I tried to organize the calendar because once we took the midterm, everything kind of got pushed back a little bit. Today is November 9th. And so module 6 is due at 11:30 p.m. Remember, if you do need more time, just request it because that's how this job is. It's better to turn something in late and have it correct than to turn it in on time and have it to be wrong to a certain extent. I mean, when you get down into, making things and working for these companies, yeah, you want to meet your deadlines. But on the other end, if you meet your deadline and then you're down in the shop 3 months later and nothing fits together, well, you're going to have to go through and do all those things again anyway. So there's no big problem with requesting additional time if you do need that. And with that said, we have a pretty ambitious schedule. Module 8 next week, Module 9 the week after that, Module 10 the week after that. And we're already into December at Module 10. And then we're going to try to squeeze in 11 and 12. Now, you might notice that 12 is before 11, and that's because Module 12 I want to use as the CSWA review. And the CSWA is the Certified SolidWorks Associate exam. And I can give you a voucher for that if you want to take that exam. It costs $100 to take the exam, but I get the vouchers because of our licensing agreement. You do not have to take the CSWA exam if you don't feel you're prepared for it. You can say, no, Joe, I'll just take your regular final exam, and it'll be very similar to the CSWA. But the good thing is if you do take the CSWA and you pass it, it's not an easy test, and you pass it, then you will have an industry certification. And it looks great if you go and apply for a job. They also have some, other certs that you can build on. I've had some of the students come in that they're just really sharp with SolidWorks. I had one student last semester who took the CSWA, the CSWP, which is a professional, and then the expert exam. And he was just a guy who just had time and liked to do the CAD work. So with that, we're going to be real busy with getting everything done. It's possible that, we may have to slim some of this down as we get closer to December, but the plan is to exit from this course right at the beginning of December, because December 14th, I believe the last day of student attendance is right around the 16th of December. And you can check that in the academic calendar. So that'll be coming up relatively quickly in a month, a little bit more than a month. So keep an eye on your calendar and watch your dates to get everything in. Okay, so that's pretty much it for our weekly recap of our assignments. Some people emailed me about needing some components. This component right here, if you needed it, here it is. It's this very sketch SolidWorks part. And if you need that, you can open that from here. And then once we have that component, we can go through. I probably shouldn't have done the feature recognition, but either way, there it is. It was a little tricky for me as well. I guess I'll make a video of it and see, because I have a couple of students who had some questions on it. And I myself had to work it a couple of times with the way that we offset these parts. And I think we had to do like a profile of the parts from convert entities. So if you had any difficulty with that or need an extension, just email me on that and I'll work on getting that straightened out for you. Volume quizzes should be set. We had a little glitch with one of them. I fixed it. Thanks for letting me know. If you do find glitches with the course, just email me, let me know. But the work is out there, content. So module 9 is released, the 3D printing lab. I don't have a video for this yet. I'll work on it. I'll see if I can. But you should be able to do a lot of them without videos as well. Here's my 3D printer lab. It's this bench vise. And as I looked at the bench vise, there are little things that we can improve on. So I put those into the documents or into the videos as I made them. But if you make it by the book, like it's written on paper, that's fine. There's always little things that we can do to improve it. But our plan is, this is sort of our big project or our final project. And I'd really like to be able to print all of these. And then with the way things are, I'm just, the Skokie campus you can get to. I don't really do a lot at the Des Plaines campus at this time because the 3D printing equipment's in Skokie. And I will print your parts and have them there for you to pick up if you desire for it. And so that will be the plan. And this is a good project. The hardest part is the base and the vice jaw. And then this part right here, the screw jack. The other components are pretty straightforward. They're not real difficult. I don't know if you need a video on all of those. And then the plan will be to give you guys working prototypes of those parts. There's some bonus assignments. There's always somebody who's like, hey, I really want a lot more work to do. I got it right here. You can go through and you can create these parts. They're not hard. In fact, that's kind of the way I like to learn. I prefer to take small steps with SolidWorks and learn it well. We've all been in those classes where you have somebody who's already mastered those skills and they're asking how to do stuff that is way beyond the basic level. So, you know, there's some additional assignments in here if you decide that you would like to work on your sketches and on your modeling, but they're not required. They are bonus. Okay, so that's our weekly Zoom meeting. I'll see you next week online. Remember, if you have any questions, just instant message me and I'll get back to you as soon as you can.